Hello again, guys. I'm back with another video. This is the history of the Elimination Chamber match. The first Elimination Chamber match was from the Raw brand for the World Heavyweight Championship. And the match was Triple H versus Booker T versus Chris Jericho versus Kane versus Shawn Michaels versus Rob Van Dam. And that was on November 17th, 2002 in Survivor Series in New York City, New York. The second one, and the winner was Shawn Michaels. The second one was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Triple H versus Goldberg versus Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels versus Kevin Nash versus Randy Orton. That was on August 24th, 2003 at SummerSlam in Phoenix, Arizona. The third one was a Raw brand for the World Heavyweight Championship. Batista versus Chris Benoit versus Edge versus Chris Jericho versus Randy Orton versus Triple H. January 9th, 2005 at New Year's Revolution in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And Triple H won that match. Raw, fourth one, Raw, for the WWE Championship. John Cena versus Kurt Angle versus Carlito versus Chris Masters versus Shawn Michaels versus Kane. That was on January 8th, 2006 at New Year's Revolution in New York. The fifth one was on ECW World for the ECW Championship. The Big Show versus Bobby Lashley versus Hardcore Holly versus CM Punk versus Test versus Rob Van Dam. And the winner that was on December 3rd, 2006 at December to Dismember in Augusta, Georgia. And the winner of that match was Bobby Lashley. Okay, the sixth one was combined for ECW and SmackDown. And that was for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 24. Batista versus Big Daddy V versus Finlay versus the Great Khali versus MVP versus The Undertaker on February 9th, 17th, 2008 at No Way Out in Las Vegas, Nevada. And that same night was the Raw Elimination Chamber for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 24. The participants was Jeff Hardy versus Chris Jericho versus JBL versus Shawn Michaels versus Triple H versus Umaga. And that was also on February 17th, 2008 in No Way Out in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, the next, the eighth one, SmackDown for the WWE Championship. Edge, the champion, versus Triple H versus The Big Show versus Jeff Hardy versus Vladimir Kozlov versus The Undertaker on February the 15th, 2009 at No Way Out in Seattle, Washington. That was last year's. Okay, the Raw one for that same night. Edge won the match for the World Heavyweight Championship. And the participants were John Cena versus Edge versus Chris Jericho versus Kane versus Mike Knox versus Rey Mysterio. Originally, Kofi Kingston was supposed to be in there instead of Edge, but Edge attacked him before the match. And that was at No Way Out 2009 in Seattle, Washington. Okay, it comes up to this year, which hadn't happened yet. For the WWE Championship, the participants are Sheamus the champion versus John Cena versus Triple H versus Randy Orton versus Ted DiBiase versus Kofi Kingston. And on February the 21st, 2010, Elimination Chamber, the new pay-per-view that they changed No Way Out to, and that will be in St. Louis, Missouri. The SmackDown Elimination Chamber for that same night for the World Heavyweight Championship. The Undertaker the champion versus R-Truth versus John Morrison versus Rey Mysterio versus Chris Jericho versus CM Punk. And that is also on February 21st, 2010. Elimination Chamber, also the new pay-per-view that they called it. And that's also Elimination Chamber in St. Louis, Missouri. And that has been the history of the Elimination Chamber match. Comment, rate, subscribe, and goodbye.